So I chose Austin, Texas, because I live here and can easily see the many effects it has on climate change. This small city is packed with 1 million people, and that many people in such a small space creates excess amounts of traffic congestion along with an increased amount of water use and plastic pollution. If you're a young person between the ages of 20 and 35, Austin is honestly the place for you. It's a hip new town filled with young people, new restaurants, new things to do, outdoor adventures, college students, and yes, many people who do choose to live a sustainable lifestyle, but not quite all. This is not Iceland yet. This city is vulnerable to adding to climate change because with more humans comes more waste. In 2011, Austin claimed by 2020 that we would be zero waste. Spoiler alert, we're not. But the city did put forth $2 million in hopes of a greater tomorrow. This went towards new plants and new procedures, and sadly, towards their defeat because the city realized that not a lot of people recycle. So that year and years henceforth, a lot of things that could have been recycled did go to landfills, and that did add to climate change. Recently, the Austin Resource Recovery officials did say that they are doubling down on this, which happened about 9 years ago, and they are going to promote recycling and potential opening of a remanufacturing hub where businesses can repurpose local waste into products for sale. It's kind of like one man's trash, another man's treasure. This will hopefully remind people that there are more than just the 3 R's, more than just reduce, reuse, recycle. There is return, repair, refill, rot, and repurpose. Another big problem Austin is experiencing that is for sure contributing to climate change is the traffic congestion. In such a small packed city with a million people, the amount of cars exceeds the humans. You could say this is kind of like the Amsterdam effect, but instead of riding eco-friendly bikes, we are adding emissions. It's not ideal. So we need to change it. But this problem stems from a lack of public transportation, a lack of bike lanes, and insufficient walking paths. I live here and I have experienced the untimely, inefficient busing systems along with the cracked, broken, sometimes not even present walkways and bike lanes. If the city of Austin would harness these two solutions to the traffic congestion, we could hopefully see a reduction in traffic congestion along with reduction in emissions in this area. The city, as of the end of last year, did put forth a possible budget to create massive amounts of bike lanes in hopes that this is the cheaper option instead of adding more busing systems. And lastly, Austin is still in Texas, and Texas does receive droughts every single summer because of the lack of rainfall. This puts Austin in the same pickle as California, but in California, residents are required to pay a certain amount when they overuse their water. A lot of water is wasted here on pretty lawns and towards many longhorn and cattle farms in the area. With no restrictions, the residents of Austin will continue to abuse their water supply. With the high heats here, we do receive a lot of bacteria and algae that form in the waters here. We have the Colorado River and Lady Bird Lake. Around 2 years ago, the city had to go into a water boil notice because of the sediment and the bacteria that had gotten into the water. And for people who do not know what a water boil notice is, it means you have to boil your water before using it because you have to make sure to kill off all the bacteria that could potentially harm you. So as you can see, we're not going in the right direction. By wasting water on pretty lawns, releasing way too much emissions into the atmosphere, and by not using all the 8 R's, reduce, reuse, recycle, return, repair, rot, and repurpose, we will see detrimental effects. The city could potentially have a smog cloud surrounding it, requiring people to wear masks constantly because of how damaging the atmosphere could be to them. It could also possibly lead to a garbage-filled city with too much waste to keep up with. And lastly, the city could one day simply run out of water, creating a devastating moment that I do not think many of us are ready to handle.